Hello, Fins fans, and welcome back to the 305 Gridiron. On today's show, we have a lot of news to talk about because Sully wasted no time in getting the Miami Dolphins cap compliant. He did it in one day. So that's our new GM. On top of that, we're going to talk about how Josh and I would fix the Dolphins in one offseason. We each have a different plan for how we would do it. So we're going to talk about the top 3 signings we would make in free agency and what we would like to see as our top 3 picks in the NFL draft. All of that and more coming right at you in just 1 second. Hello, Dolphins fans. Welcome back to the show. I am joined by my boy Aqua Ace, aka Josh, over here to my left, and I, of course, am Anthony Pinzone. And this is another episode of the 305 Gridiron, your yearly Miami Dolphins chatter. Why are you watching yearly Dolphins show? Because you're crazy, just like us. So the Miami Dolphins had a lot of news today, Josh. No unexpected moves, I would say, unless you're ESPN, which literally acts surprised by every single move that happens. But to Dolphins fans, I don't think any of the moves today were very surprising. Before we dive into it, I do want to thank all the fans out there. We're up to 149 subscribers now. We have a goal of 250 by the time we hit the 1 year mark. We hit 1 year in August 11th, dude. There's still quite a bit of time to go. Looking forward to the growth that we'll see here over the draft and free agency season as fans start to pile back into the NFL. Right now, most fans are on a break. If you're watching this show, you are not one of those fans who's on a break, and we appreciate you because neither are we. We have the NFL Combine starting next week, which we absolutely will talk about on next week's shows. Don't worry, we will talk NFL Combine. But for this week, we're talking fixing the Miami Dolphins, our theoretical view as to how we would fix the Miami Dolphins if we were GMs. And of course, because we're on this podcast, that means we're not GMs.
Yeah.
But, you know, we can dream. Let us have our dreams.
In most years, I'd rather be on this podcast than be the GM of the Miami Dolphins, if I'm being honest.
The GM seems like a high-stress job. Let's be honest.
Thank God we have Sully.
Yeah. Let's get into so Sully kind of ruined one of our segments today because we were going to talk about 3 people that we would cut as part of our offseason roster revamp. And Sully kind of beat us to it. But he went on an absolute rampage today, and it's not an unexpected rampage. Rampage might be the wrong word, but let's get into it. Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and James Daniels have all been cut from the Miami Dolphins. Now, we don't yet know whether or not those cuts are post-June 1st. Obviously, Westbrook-Ikhine and James Daniels are not. They're just gone. We don't yet know.
Tyreek Hill's definitely been officially cut. He's not a post-first.
Okay, so Tyreek Hill has been cut. So we're the only one we're really questioning right now is if Bradley Chubb is post-June 1st or not. The fact that Tyreek is not as interesting to me, I do think there's some Tua stuff happening, dude. I think behind the scenes, they are working on trying to move him. And if they're unable to move him, they leave a post-June 1st cut slot open so that they can make that move. I do know that there's other analysts or other YouTubers out there who don't believe we should even do a post-June 1st cut. They should think we should just take it on the chin up front. I really don't like that because that means this year is really going to suck.
No, and I don't think financially it's even, genuinely realistic. It's one thing to say, oh, this would be really cool. It's not, we still have to put butts in the seats and we still have, to pay draft classes and pay practice squad players and have enough, financial capabilities to make in-season moves if due to injuries and stuff. So, I think really the big thing, and it's already been released somewhere, I have not been able to find it, is whether or not like you said, Bradley Chubb is a post-June 1st cut or just a regular cut. Because if he is a post-June 1st cut, that tells me more that we are most likely going to see Tua on this team for now, barring any kind of trade, as opposed to if he's not.
So I don't know if this is any indication, but the Miami Dolphins homepage press release does not mention Bradley Chubb in the roster moves that they made today. So I don't know if that's an indication that they are going to try to trade him, if they're designating him June 1st or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
But their official press release mentions James Daniels, Tyreek Hill, and Nick Westbrook-Ikine.
All right. So then that probably means he's a post June 1st cut, which tells me there is even less of a chance that Tua gets post June 1st cut or cut. If Tua is moved off of this roster, assuming Bradley Chubb is a post June 1st cut, it is most likely going to be a trade then. From a financial standpoint, I don't want to get into all the numbers, but that's basically the gist of it.
Let's talk about other moves that could be made or that we wouldn't be surprised would be made, since our segment was stolen from us. I know we had other names on our list here.
Well, before you do that, how do you feel about these moves? I mean, I know
that's a good point. Let's talk about.
I mean, like a lot of them are ones that we've talked about ad nauseum on this show.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, maybe it's a quick answer, like, "Hey, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. I'm good with it." Or maybe like, "Oh, you know what? I would have liked to see Westbrook-Ikine in this offense, or James Daniels stick around because he's versatile, or whatever."
It's a good question. I think I knew Tyreek was going to go. But I'm also bummed that Tyreek went.
Yeah.
For all that he is, for all of his flaws, for all of the distraction, for all of the quitting on the team, for all of that, he's the best wide receiver I've seen in a Miami Dolphins uniform in my lifetime.
Yeah, you're right. Well, speaking about that, are you ready for this? I got stats because I knew you were going to say that. During Tyreek Hill's time in Miami, he is first in receiving yards per game at 87.6. in history of the Miami Dolphins. He is sixth all time in receiving yards from a Miami Dolphins standpoint with 4,733 yards.
Wow.
He is seventh in receptions and seventh in receiving touchdowns in 4 years. Now we're talking about, this is up against players that were here.
Yeah.
Decade.
The Dupers and Claytons,
you know what I mean?
Of the world. Yeah.
I mean, and his receiving yards per game average in his 4 years here. Now that is not just a 1 year sample. That is over the course of 4 years. 87.6 is higher than Calvin Johnson's career average, Jerry Rice's career average during his 49ers tenure, and Randy Moss during his Vikings tenure. I'm not saying Tyreek Hill is those players, but that is to put in perspective the impact that he made in the 4 years that he was here.
Crazy. By the way, Jalen Waddle is number 6 on that list. I don't know if you have the list up in front of you, but yeah, Jalen Waddle is number 6 on the list of Dolphins receivers. So if he sticks around, he has potential to pass OJ McDuffie this year.
Hey, cool.
Yeah. So actually, and Chris Chambers, he could move up to number 4 this year.
What does he need?
He needs 650 yards.
Oh, that's in receiving yards.
Yeah, receiving yards. Yeah. That's crazy, though, about Tyreek, man. Only 4 years here. He passed so many people. I mean, Jarvis Landry, think about all the good years he had here, passes him. He was so electric when he was on, man. When he was on the field, when he wasn't playing hurt. I know at the end of 2023 or 2024, he was playing with a bum ankle.
Last year,
Yeah, so that sucked. The whole... I'm relieved that the drama is gone, and I understand completely that we were never going to pay him that money he was owed this year. We had no more guaranteed money left in the contract, and he was owed an elevated, what was it, $31 million or something like that?
Well, it's $53 million, but we get 30-something million in cap savings, or it was something like that. Don't quote me on that because I don't have the numbers in front of me. It was something ridiculous.
So I'm bummed. The Bradley Chubb one, I wish we would have got more out of him. That's my only thing. I mean, when we made the trade, I thought to myself, God, we traded a first-round pick for a guy who's often injured.
Yeah.
And that, again, was his highlight as a Dolphin, too. Electric on the field, but couldn't stay on the field. So that's a bummer. And then the other two, I just don't really have any feelings for. James Daniels played 3 snaps when Nick Westbrook-Ikine had like 58 receiving yards this year. So there were just failed free agent additions from the previous regime.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on most of them. I'm actually glad to see Tyreek gone. I can't forgive quitting on your team in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I understand he's a very talented player. He produced. We just talked about it. He was very productive. I don't think he was a waste of what we gave up to get him.
No,
it's not his fault that our GM and our head coach at the time couldn't build a team around him. He did all he could. Imagine if he had a good team around him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just can't forgive what he did and what he said like that. I wanted him gone that offseason. We talked about it.
No, yeah, me too.
So I wish him nothing but the best. Right.
Which another Chris Greer f up, dude. Like he actually had trade value at that point.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
know. Yep.
You could have gotten. Everybody knew the situation, even if you had to give him up for a third.
Yeah, get something, because now you're not getting anything.
Now you're not getting anything.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting cap relief, which is great and very much needed, because in that one move, with just through the lens of the Tyreek Hill move of cutting him, we instantly became cap compliant. All of this other stuff was great. It was icing on the cake and adding to the pot to allow us to make moves or to allow us to kind of absorb any kind of big hit we get from either cutting Tua or trading Tua. Because
I know that Akine and Daniels didn't really release a whole lot of. I mean, they were only getting paid pennies comparatively.
Well, I think Daniels got us like $9 million or something like that, $6 or $9 million or something like that. Yeah. Again, I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but
yeah. But of course, Bradley Chubb, if he is a post-June 1st cut, that's quite a pretty penny there that we'll get back for that.
Yeah.
But of course, you can't spend it until June 1st.
Right.
So that will really only help with re-signings and second wave free agency and stuff like that.
And draft class.
And the draft class, which is probably 7-8 million now.
Yeah, I think that's I think it's around that. Yeah.
It's more every year, right? It's last year it was 6.5.
Nope. No, because it's all set into stone, I think. First round pick and
they're all slotted, but I think it goes up with the salary cap.
Oh, I didn't know.
I think it's like a percentage or some shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, if Sully makes trades and we have more draft pick, more picks, But again, it's only the top 53 players on so when we're at like 90 people on the roster, only the top 53, the most expensive 53 count towards the cap. So
So let's talk about other guys that could potentially be cap casualties or just new regime casualties. Let's start at the fullback position, Alec Ingold.
Yep.
I do believe that we are going to operate with a fullback this year because Bobby Slowick runs a similar system. Will it be Alec Ingold? I don't know. I believe the number's around $4 million savings if we cut him. I guess it depends on how much they value the fullback.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on if they get somebody in the draft or and this is, I'm just pie in the sky. Maybe they convert one of our many running backs into a fullback, to give us a little bit more optionality in the ground and passing game. It's always an option. But Ingold is one of my favorite players on this team for everything he does, all the little dirty work and everything. But I'd be sad to see him go. But for getting that kind of cap relief by cutting him, I mean, it makes sense.
I think he'll be back, and I think so because there's not a huge market for fullbacks out there. So if they come to him and say, "Hey, we want to do like a 2-year extension and lower your salary a bit over the next 3 years," is he going to say no? Is he going to risk not having a job next year?
Yeah, but the problem is we need cap space now. So even by doing that, it doesn't, because even if you say, okay, well, you have a $6 million cap hit. I'm just making that number up. Well, we'll give you $5 million as a signing bonus. Well, that gets tacked on and divided by however many years they're in the contract. So I really, if I could see us moving on and signing another fullback, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or cutting them and re-signing them. We just do that a lot.
Yeah, I don't know is that allowed?
Yeah, you cut him and then you re-sign him later.
If he clears waivers and stuff.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
How about this is a guy we both like. We traded for him last year in the Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey trade. He had an okay season given what he was working with, which was nothing. Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that one I'm torn between because my heart wants him to stay because I was a big fan of his coming out of college. I was elated that he fell to us in the draft. And I was really excited when he came back. But, on one hand, we have control over him next year. He's the last year of his contract, but he wants to get paid more.
Right.
So there is value in both options, keeping him because Hafley's defense requires top end safety play. Think Xavier McKinney from Green Bay.
Yep.
But on the downside, he has massively regressed in most of his statistical categories and production on the field and staying healthy. And when he's on the field, he's on the field. The problem is him being on the field. So if you can get something for him, you would not only get compensation in the form that I assume is a mid to late round draft pick for him, but you would also get, I think, something like 8-9 million and maybe a little bit more, a little bit less than that in cap relief by getting him off the roster. So we'll see.
Yeah.
You know,
compensatory picks are based on the contract he signs too, so we would have to hope that he signs a big contract elsewhere.
Yeah.
Which,
and I don't see this regime trying to game the system for comp picks like Chris Greer did, because Chris Greer needed to, because he traded away all of our first and second round draft picks.
I do wonder what those conversations are like in the room, though. I imagine that Sully and Half have a huge amount of respect for Minka Fitzpatrick. He's been
for sure. Yeah.
He's been a stalwart at the safety position going on 6 years now. But when you're talking to a 29-year-old safety about a rebuild,
yeah,
it's
like, where do you want to go?
Tell us. Right. Like, are you talking extension? Are you talking potentially moving him? Like, I just wonder what that conversation is like.
I'm not sure. My gut is if they've determined that they don't want him on the roster for whatever reason, right? And not because he's not a talented player, but for cap savings or whatever the case is, or maybe they want to go in a different direction. I do think this is one of those scenarios where they sit down and say, hey, you're not going to be here. Sorry. Thank you for your service. Where do you want to finish your career? And give us your top 3 destinations and we'll try to do our best.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. I would welcome him back because we need somebody to play safety. Right now, we just have Dante Trader Jr. With the 5th round pick from a year ago.
Playing one high safety all year.
Other names on here. I think there's one other one I really want to talk about, and then the other 2 we can kind of skip over or just kind of mention. Austin Jackson, our starting right tackle.
Yeah.
He was a first-round pick for Miami back in 2020, the same draft that we took Tua. And
Noah Igbenogany.
Yes, we had 3 first-round picks that year. None of them have worked out.
Wow.
He and then he had a bit of a resurgence under the Mike McDaniel unit. Came back playing strong, but couldn't stay on the field. And then this past year, coming back from injury, whether he came back too early or what, I don't know. He was not very good. So I guess the question remains, like, hey, it's not a good thing to get rid of starting offensive linemen, but is it time to get rid of this starting offensive lineman?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do. And it's not, again, I don't mean to be repetitive, but you're talking about a player that's averaged 56% of snaps played with this time here.
Yeah.
And by trading him, you could get about 12, 13 million, if not a little bit more, in cap relief. So it's a no-brainer for me. You know what I mean? Does it suck that we would then essentially have to rebuild yet again the entire right side of the offensive line? Sure, but we're in a rebuild. We can't say it enough. Like, this year is not going to be fun. Hopefully we're competitive in some games and we put forth our best effort, but dude, it's time to take our medicine. And a lot of bad decisions were made by the previous regime, and we got to fix those before we can build a house. So
the reality of the current NFL is that their offensive linemen are harder to come by than they've ever been before. It used to be a position that if you took an offensive lineman in the top 10, that guy was going to be there for 10 years.
Yeah.
That just doesn't really happen that much anymore. You have your outliers for sure. But more often than not, these guys' bodies are breaking down way sooner. And I think it's because of the amount of movement that we have in the NFL. And these linemen are moving more than ever. And I don't know. I mean, I've never been 300 pounds or 350. But I can't imagine your joints really like it when 350 pounds is running around the yard like that.
6'6", 6'7", 6'5". I mean,
So bodies are breaking down faster for sure.
Yeah, it sucks because Austin Jackson had potential. He had finally rounded the corner before all of his injuries this past year, and he was a very solid. I mean, he was our best offensive lineman last year, in my opinion, or second best besides Brewer. And not last season. Sorry, the previous year, right? Going into last year, we were both really excited about him. We're like, hey, okay, he put some shit on film. Okay, hey, this is gonna be the year, and he got injured again. So I just think at some point, availability needs to be very important. You know?
Yeah. The other two names I wanted to mention are kicker Jason Sanders missed the entire season, which was a very big surprise, I think, to most fans. Riley Patterson did a good job filling in. I think you mentioned this a few shows ago. Don't know if either of them will be back. And then Tyrell Dodson. I think that we've tired of the Tyrell Dodson experience. An incredibly hard hitter, an incredibly exciting player at times. At other times, an incredibly frustrating player.
Yeah, I got nothing to add on those. I think those are very plausible and possible moves that we see made just to, again, churn the roster and get money to be able to do stuff.
What do you say we get into fixing the offseason?
Let's
or fixing the roster in one
Let's
offseason?
do it. Let's do it.
We need like a sound bite that just comes up when we're switching segments.
No, just kidding.
No,
just kidding.
We're just got copyright stricken. Damn it. All right. So this is how it's going to work, my friend. Each of us is going to get to trade away one player. Each of us is going to get to trade for one player. And then each of us gets to make 3 signings and pick our top 3 picks in the draft. Just a reminder to fans, we have pick 11, 43, and 75. We have 3 third-round picks, but we're only going to do the first one for, brevity's sake. On the draft portion, it's important to note that we are going to name names, but we're at the beginning of draft season, so these names are going to change a ton. Don't get your panties in a twist if it's a name that you're not necessarily familiar with or you don't think should be drafted that high. It doesn't matter. Look at the position that we're talking about more than the name that we're talking about. The signings, on the other hand, feel free to eviscerate us in the comments below.
Please.
If you like or do not like.
Bring it on.
Who we wish to sign. Also, for this exercise, we're going to assume that everybody we want, we're going to get. And that's the beauty of being a fantasy exercise.
No.
Let's start with trade away, Josh. I'm going to start with you, and then I'll go first on trade 4. So who are you trading away that's currently on the roster?
Yeah, this is going to get me absolutely annihilated by our fan base. I apologize for nothing. I'm just kidding.
Except you just apologize.
I know. I love you guys. Yeah. So trading away, I'm actually making the very tough decision to capitalize on a player that had a hell of a year and that has had a hell of a tenure with Miami. And that is moving on from Devon Echan.
Oh boy.
Yes. What kind of compensation? I have no idea. Those are the conversations that we are not privy for. I would presume that if we could get a late first or a second or multiple combinations of seconds and thirds or something along those lines, that would entice us to move on. Here's the main reason. It has nothing to do with talent. It has even less to do with lack of production because he's a top 6 NFL running back in my mind. He had a borderline Dolphins historical type year at the running back position last year. And he's coming off a year where his value is probably never going to be, or never has been higher. And I don't know if it ever will be. Yeah. The problem is he's coming into an extension year. He is again, top 6 player. If you go look at those salaries, those average values per year salary, you're in the $18 to $22 million range. And that was last offseason. Now we are going into an offseason where the cap has gone up 93 million or whatever the hell it was. So those look very outdated right now. And where we are in the life cycle of this new team and this new kind of venture that we are heading towards with Jeff Hafley and with John Eric Sullivan, I don't know if we have the ability or if it's even a smart move to pay a running back 23, 24, 18, even $1 million per year on average for a team that has to rebuild, like we just talked about, has to rebuild the right side of the offensive line, doesn't have a quarterback, only has one moderately okay wide receiver, above average wide receiver in Waddle, has no defense, has to redo. I mean, it just doesn't make sense as much as it hurts. And if you can flip them into assets,
pretty crazy how our opinions have changed here. Yes. Although that is a argument I made a few weeks ago on a show, and I swear you said I was crazy.
Yes, I did.
Look back on this.
No, I very much did. And I'll be honest with you, he's my favorite player on this team and has been since we drafted him. I was banging the table to get him in the draft when we did, and it sucks, but I want him to succeed, and I want him to get the money that I feel like he deserves. And it's just it doesn't make sense here. If they keep him, phenomenal. If they decide to pay him, amazing.
I'm going to be interested to see how that plays into your fixing the team in one offseason.
Okay.
So
remember, we're only talking about 3 moves. There's a lot that is needed to fix this team. But so, what about you?
well, there's wait, we're talking about 3, 6, 8 moves to fix a team. That's enough, right? I'm trading away a first round pick of this team from just 2 years ago by the name of Chop Robinson.
Wow. Okay.
Largely for similar reasons as you, but also not really. The similarities in why you want to trade Achane, his value couldn't be higher. Similar to me, I don't want to trade away Chop when his value gets lower. To me, he hasn't proven that he is or can be a premier pass rusher in the league, but given he's only been in the league for 2 years, another team may have the hubris to believe that it's just because he's on a bad team and they couldn't get the best out of him. This largely would depend on what Hafley and Sully think of him, of course, but we do know the previous regime and Anthony Weaver, who was a well-respected defensive coordinator in the league, apparently did not think highly of him because he wouldn't even play him. Yeah. Chop famously played less than a third of the snaps last year, which is insane. So I think, while we have the opportunity to trade him away before his value continues to lower, could you get a second round pick for him right now? If you could, I think you have to do it because we just don't know that he has that it factor that you need to have to be a premier pass rusher in the league. Now, could that come back and backfire? Absolutely it could. He could go somewhere else and be an absolute monster. He could go to the Rams or the Chargers or the Niners and absolutely tear it up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you could get a second for him now, that's worth that happening to me.
Well, I mean, not to foreshadow, but maybe we could do a swap for who I will eventually about to talk to for a trade for. I'm just saying, right? Maybe that's a
maybe.
Swap we could do.
And if those of you are wondering, well, you're trading away our only pass rusher, how does that fix the team? Don't worry, I'll get to that later.
TBD.
TBD. I'll start off the trade for, though. I'm actually going to trade for a cornerback, my friend. I mean, there's a buzz in the league that Riley Moss from the Denver Broncos could be available.
Yes.
Because Jahdae Barron, of course, their first round pick from last year that Josh and I loved and we didn't pick. Oh God, don't not worry about it. Jahdae Barron is expected to take over a larger role, which leaves Riley Moss as kind of the last man standing. He's looking for a new contract, which of course Denver is not going to be really in a position to give. So there's a lot of rumors that he could be on the trade block. So I am going to go ahead and trade for him. I think that we need somebody in the cornerback position, but if you're going to have somebody, why not have a young corner who has played a lot of snaps in the league already, has proven that he's a pretty decent corner. I don't think he's a world beater. I don't think he's elite. I don't think he is top 10 corner in the league. And that's fine. We just need corners that know how to play football on our team. And I think if we could trade for a guy like Riley Moss, again, like you mentioned, we don't know compensation here. We're just talking what one guy would you trade for? I would trade for Riley Moss, and I would help kickstart the cornerback position because currently on the roster, I mean, I don't even know who we have. Let me look at the depth chart real quick for you.
We have Storm Duck, we have Juju Brents, and we have
Jason Marshall Jr.
Yeah, and other people that. Oh, and I think Ethan? Cater. Is Cater? Is he? No, I think
Cater's a free agent. Ethan Bonner, I think.
Okay, so we're not. Yeah, sure.
We have nobody. That's what I said. We have nobody at corner. Storm Duck potentially could be a nice role player, but he's not a starting corner, I don't believe. So, I'm going to trade for Riley Moss, man. Can't wait to hear who you're trading for.
He was on my list. It was between him and this other guy, and I was like, oh, I don't know.
We should note that the only players that we shared with each other on this list are the ones we trade for and trade away, so we didn't have the same guys.
Right,
but
exactly.
The 3 free agent signings and the 3 drafted players, we don't know who the other person is taking. So I'm actually can't wait to get to that.
Equally as excited as you are. So my lone trade for, because we can only do one, is actually at the defensive end position, and that is Lucas Van Ness, the defensive end from Green Bay. My comp for him from what we would give up to get him is in the a 2026 third, one of the later ones. and a 2027 fourth for him. Or maybe we do a Chop Robinson, Lucas Van Ness, and a 5th round pick swap. Kind of you take this project, we'll take yours kind of thing. Something along those lines. Look, there's front office familiarity with him. I think it's very important and we will see this a little bit, at least as we normally do when a new coaching regime comes in. They like to bring players that know their terminology, that understand the concepts, and that can help with the culture. And I think Lucas Van Ness, where he's still on a rookie deal, he's entering his physical prime. I mean, the dude is like 6'5", 220, 270.
What a different profile than what
right?
we had, man.
And just he's an inside out versatile power rusher with power traits.
Mm-hmm.
And that really fits the kind of AFC style of play, right? You want your defensive ends to be twitchy, but to be very strong. And he's cost controlled, which is big. I don't know. Lucas Van Ness is somebody that I really like, and I just think it makes too much sense for it not to happen.
I am definitely on board with that. When we talked about him last week as well, it's just and that was just off the dome, right? Like I was looking at a list of people who were like rumored as being available, and with the signing of Micah Parsons there, Van Ness could certainly be available. Yeah. I think Packers fans would jump at the opportunity to trade him straight for Chop. I mean,
and I think Dolphins fans would too.
Yeah, I think, depending on the fan.
Well, maybe not fans, maybe the front office.
Yeah.
Fans would be like, "Excuse me."
I do think you could garner something for more than that. I think you could garner Van Ness plus picks for Chop, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I'll take it.
I think Chop's values is higher right now.
Okay.
And it really depends. I think Chop probably goes. I don't know if the Packers would want him. Obviously, they're still using the same kind of the same kind of size metrics as what we currently have, and our guys are looking for bigger guys. I think Chop would probably fit better with one of those teams that's looking for zippy guys like over in San Fran.
But I also really like the Van Ness Chop pairing. You know what I mean? Because
that's not a bad. Yeah, it's not bad.
You have the power on one side and you have the speed on the other, and what I'm assuming is going to be a couple rookies to
fill in your version of the offseason, you have both.
Yes, I do.
Because I'm the one who traded away Chop on my version. So
yes, I do.
I'm without him.
And that was my logic for picking him over Riley was I want to secure at least above average edge players to allow us to then look at the draft a little bit differently, which we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah, so we started off, we traded away one player each. We traded for one player each, but we're in two different universes right now. This is Josh's fix to the team, my fix to the team. We're fixing the team in one offseason, each of us separately.
Yeah, and let us know in the chat which universe you actually would sit on. Maybe you don't like either of them, but if you had to pick one.
We're going to go through all the moves that each of us made at the end, and you let us know. Who would you also trade away and trade for, by the way? Yep. I'm actually more excited about who you guys would trade for. Because I'd love to hear the names that are out there.
Yeah, and it would also help us to look at players maybe we didn't think about,
Now we're going to get into the signings here. Now, when we did this exercise, we weren't necessarily thinking about cap, but we were thinking about cap. Let me explain what that means. We obviously are not cap experts. So when we're looking at cap numbers, we're looking at it from a very basic level. So while we did take into account how much the market value is expected to be for these three players, we didn't do a full cap breakdown or anything like that. So we're banking on Brandon Shore being able to make this shit happen when we bring the name to him. All right. So we'll start with Josh. Josh, who is your first of three signings from the free agency pool?
So the number one player that I am going after once free agency starts is somebody that not a lot of people talk about. It's not one of the quarterback positions. It's not an edge. I'm actually focused on the cornerback position. Okay. And my first order of business is to go to Cordell Flott, who's a 24-year-old cornerback from the Giants, and sign him to a 5-year contract.
Who the hell? I don't even know who this is. How do you spell his name?
Cordale, Cordale, Flott, Flott.
My mind is blown right now. I've never even heard of this player. Yes. Okay, tell me more.
You're welcome, by the way. Go look at this thing. So I'm signing him to a 5-year contract that averages around $8.75 million per year.
Okay.
He is a very versatile defensive back in New York. He's log snaps at outside, at slot, at safety. In 2023, he allowed a completion percentage in the mid 60s with improved tackling and efficiency. And all of those numbers have gone up and down respectively as the years have gone on. He's still very young. He's only 24 years old. And I think he's I had it written down. I think he's like 6'2", something like that. So he gives us height and speed at the cornerback position. I think pairing him with some of the players that we currently have on the roster, as well as maybe Riley from Denver or somebody else in the draft, I think would fit our getting young, not having to overspend for proven veterans, and allowing young players to develop in our system, for lack of a better term, and progress throughout their career. He is my number one player that I'm going after once free agency opens.
Well, you floored me. That's incredible. I love the signing of a young corner. I mean, I of course traded for a young corner instead of signing one, but obviously your route would probably be a little bit cheaper.
And also, if you go back and watch his film, something I forgot to mention is that if you go back and watch the NFC East matchups, which has all big wide receivers, he held his own against every single one of them in single coverage.
I don't think you're going to be surprised by the position that I went with straight away. Of course, I am sticking to edge rushers because I have been very loud about the fact that we need edge rushers. Also, I just traded away Chop Robinson. I need some goddamn edge rushers. So the first place I am stopping off here is to the LA Chargers, where they have a man by the name of Odafe Oweh.
Good choice.
Odafe Oweh was a 2021 first-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens picked up his fifth-year option last year and then traded him to John's brother Jim in the Chargers for pennies, essentially pennies. They traded Odafe Oweh for Alohi Gilman, a safety, and a 2026 fifth-round pick.
It's like fantasy collusion.
It really is. So Oweh has had injury concerns, something we are very familiar with. But when he is on the field, this man produces, especially from a sack level. Last year, he actually did play 17 games. He had 7.5 sacks and 38 combined tackles. In 5 seasons, he's had 30.5 sacks and 176 tackles. The positives for Oweh: consistent sack producer, good length, good frame. He is the exact size that our new boys in charge are looking for. And he has experience as part of a rotation, which, as we know, that's kind of the new NFL with pass rushers, is rotation, rotation, rotation. Here's the bad side and why he may be available and not immediately signed, right? Which, by the way, that is an option. The Chargers could franchise tag him. We're going to assume they're not. He's not an elite pass rusher by any means. He doesn't have the metrics or the stats or any of that to show that he has been elite. He is mid-tier against the run game, and his production can be inconsistent at best, right? So you might be saying to yourself, well, that's Chop, idiot. Like, why would you just sign a guy who's exactly the same as Chop? And there's a reason for that. It's one, size, right? We're looking to get bigger on this team, and Odafe Oweh is a big man. And 2, actual sack production. Something Chop Robinson does not have.
It's pretty crazy.
So Oweh may be injury prone and he may not be able to stop the run, but at least he has some sack production, and that's what we need on this team. We need somebody who can get to the quarterback. So my first signing as fake GM for the Miami Dolphins is Odafe Oweh from the Chargers.
I kind of love it, dude. I kind of love it. And you know why I love it? Because my second signing is an edge. And my second signing was going to be Odafe Oweh.
No shit.
I changed it to the edge rusher out of Philadelphia, Azeez Ojulari.
I thought you were going to say Jalen Phillips.
No, could you fucking imagine? And I'm re-signing Bradley Chubb. No, Azeez Ojulari is my second signing of our 3 allotted signings. 25-year-old, right? Yeah. He's been in the league. He was drafted by the Giants, then played there for 4 years, went over to the Eagles. I am signing him to a 3-year contract that averages around $4.5 million per year, which is a significant. It's almost doubling what he is paid now. I think his current contract's in the $2 million range. He averages about 7 sacks a year. So there's some sack production there. Again, he's young. Has a little bit of injury proneness to him, but he has corrected that as of late. And if you look at his numbers, he's played 49 games. He has 22 total sacks, 100 quarterback pressures.
Wow.
Yep. 4 forced fumbles, 3 of which are recovered, and 3 pass defenses. He gives you everything. Not a lot of everything, but he gives you everything, right? And he's the type of player, because he's young, that can come in and lead the room and then transition to where he really belongs as a number 2 option. That's not a slight on him, but I think in the 4.5 million range for 3 years for Aziz is a very good, in my opinion, a very, very good deal for him, especially he's coming down to Florida where it's warmer, it's more humid, which means that he's going to hopefully not get injured as much because he's played in New York and Philadelphia. Both places are dry and cold in the winter,
Yes.
And so I really do think he is best suited as a rotational edge, but can come in early for a team that is devoid of talent at most positions and really at least make a stamp and kind of build his momentum into, while we're building this team, and can eventually slot into the number 2 role and be a very productive number 2 for us.
You know why I love that pick? Because last year when we were doing the Fins forecast, I was banging the table for Aziz Ojulari because he was a free agent.
We both were. And we both were like, dude, it makes too much sense for this not to happen. Yep.
And he went to the second wave of free agency. He didn't get signed till the second wave.
Yeah, and we were banging the table the whole time.
Yeah. Day one.
Mm-hmm.
Day one. I love that signing. I absolutely love it. I don't know how you're going to feel about my second one, if I'm being honest.
Oh, boy.
It's a guy who's been around for a while. He is a household name.
If you say Xavier Howard, I'm quitting.
Imagine. He's a linebacker.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. It does, actually.
Alleviate your pressure. He would replace Tyrell Dotson.
Okay.
And when I was looking at linebackers to replace Tyrell Dotson, I found the Packers have a free agent linebacker. And then I looked at him and I was like, wait, but he's exactly the same as Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
He's a run-stuffing linebacker who struggles in pass coverage. We don't need that. We have that already. So I'm looking for a linebacker who excels in pass coverage and has consistently gotten good grades. And I landed on a man who played in Cleveland last year, but he's not known for his time in Cleveland. He actually is known for his time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he was drafted in 2019 in the first round. And I am going with linebacker Devin Bush.
I like that.
Devin Bush is not going to be a very expensive signing, I don't believe. I think that he would probably garner $9-ish million per year, if I had to guess, which for a starting linebacker, and if we're playing a 3-4, that's not too bad.
Nope.
He's not notorious for having interceptions. In fact, he went 5 straight years without an interception. Then last year he had 3.
Okay.
2 of them went for touchdowns. What a crazy year for Devin Bush.
All right.
But really, this guy is I don't know what happened in his career past his rookie season. He had 109 tackles his rookie year, and then I don't know if it was injuries or what happened. Inconsistency. He played for the Seahawks. Then he ends up in Cleveland. Doesn't do much his first year with Cleveland. And then he absolutely explodes last year. 125 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns on the year.
Jesus.
Where are you finding that production on this team right now?
Well, we don't have it.
I would argue nowhere. Right. So it's just another guy in the middle who is a high volume tackler, right? Similar to Brooks. So then maybe we can split that up a little bit and not have Brooks being the only guy on the defense that knows how to tackle.
Yeah.
But really why I went towards him is he's a playmaker in coverage, and we need a playmaker linebacker in coverage if we plan on rolling out a 3-4 yet again. And I really wanted somebody with experience. I would love to get a Sammy Styles or something like that in the first round, right? I just think we have too many holes to be drafting a linebacker that high.
You mean Sonny Styles? In the draft you're talking about?
Yeah, Sonny Styles.
Yeah.
Sammy.
Okay.
Sammy Styles is a killer name too, though.
Hey, Sammy. What's up, Sammy?
Sonny Styles out of Ohio State?
Yeah.
Yeah. So injury history, he's not a pass rush threat. That's fine. And his production has been up and down throughout his career. But I think for the price tag and for what we need at the position, This is where I'm going. I went Devin Bush. I think he helps solidify that linebacker core, and then maybe we bring back like a Britt or a Gay to help as a backup role there in case he gets hurt again. But yeah, Devin Bush is my second free agent signing.
Yeah, what's funny is I love that pick, by the way. I do. and before I get to my third, the player I was going to pick there was a player that you and I are both very familiar with. Is I believe Leo Chenal is available.
Oh.
I believe. Don't quote me on that. But he was going to be an option for me.
Yeah.
But I went a completely different way. And this is going to be, so if you remember, my first option, Cordell Flott, $8 million a year for a 5-year contract, young cornerback, really good. Azeez Ojulari was my number 2, 3 years, $4.5 million. I took a big swing on a big player. And it's a player that I know you're not a fan of.
Oh,
so
good.
Buckle up.
Here we go.
Yes. I am re-signing. No, I'm kidding. I am making a trade, or I'm a signing that our new front office is very familiar with this player, having worked with him last year as the backup quarterback. And I am signing Malik Willis, 26-year-old quarterback, backup. He was drafted by Tennessee. Didn't work out with limited playing time, as all of you are well aware. He went over to Green Bay, really worked on his mechanics as the backup. Green Bay is notoriously good at developing and fixing quarterbacks. And in his time where he was given the ability to come in games during the regular season or during the preseason, he completed over 68% of his passes and looked like a brand new player. And if you look at him outside of your knowledge of Malik from Tennessee, he's got all the tools. He's got the body height. He's got the he's got athleticism. He's got a cannon of an arm. And I just think, irregardless of what happens with Tua, we need a bridge quarterback. We need somebody here. And so signing Malik to I have a 2-year deal at $11 million per year. With a player option in year 2. So we're signing him for a prove it deal, if you will. Hey, you get 1 year as a starting quarterback, show the world you belong. And then he can decide if he wants to stick around. And then we can decide if we want to extend him. If he develops under Slowick, the other thing that it is because he's so young, it gives us a high level insurance / tradable asset. So if he does pan out, but we get into the 2027 draft and we're like, shit, wait a minute. We didn't win a lot of games. Malik Willis looked very good, but we didn't win a lot of games. And we have a high draft pick, and insert quarterback name in 2027 that this team is enamored with is there when we pick. Okay, cool. Malik has done enough to get us an asset. Let's flip him for some kind of pick. If we decided to stick around with him for year 2 or year 3, whatever the case is. But I think I like what Malik Willis did last year. I like everything that has been said about him, how he handled being a backup, how he handled his development, how he threw everything in. He was usually the first in per reports out of Green Bay and the last out. It's just something that I think we need. Do I think he is our answer at quarterback? Probably not.
Yeah.
Do I think he's the answer in the interim? He could be.
Surprisingly, I did not take a quarterback in my fantasy world. I am rolling with Quinn Ewers, but I don't mind Malik at $11 million. I just fear that he's going to garner $20 million a year from some team that's desperate.
Well, then good luck to you, buddy.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear there with him. I actually stuck with defense, and what I ended up doing is I ended up building a tiered approach here. I took an edge rusher with my first free agency signing. I took a linebacker with my second free agency signing. I traded for a corner. And then I locked down the safety position here. And I'm going with Cameron Curl from the LA Rams.
That's a good pick, dude. That's a good pickup.
Cameron is a dependable safety, played a lot of football, and comes from a system that is absolutely fantastic at developing young players. And that's something we have struggled with, I don't know, since I've been a fan. He comes over after having 122 tackle, 2 interception, 5 pass defense, 2 sack, 1 forced fumble season in 17 games last year. You may be asking, well, how does he become available? Well, in this fantasy world, every undrafted free agent doesn't get re-signed. So potentially he doesn't get re-signed by the Rams, or they can't afford to re-sign him, and he ends up on the open market. In his career, my friend, he has 5 interceptions, 8 sacks, and 385 solo tackles. For a
Jesus.
safety, that's insane. He finished as 16th among PFF safeties overall in 2025. He is what I think you've been calling for in Jeff Hafley's system with
Mhm.
the safety. He mixes coverage and run support effectively. He's durable. He's on the field for almost every defensive snap. The only knock on him is that he's not a ball hawk.
Yeah.
He 5 interceptions in I think 4 or 5 years, something like that. So you're not getting a guy who's getting you 3, 4, 5 interceptions a year. He's not an elite safety, which is why guys like this end up being on the market. But I think he fits well in this system, and I think he helps along with the other signings to get the defense in such a better position going into 2026.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I absolutely love it. And you know what I'm really shocked is that so far, neither of us who are big offensive linemen guys have even sniffed replacing any one of the right side of our offensive line.
And I think that's realistic.
Me too.
Linemen don't hit free agency, and teams don't trade away good linemen.
Yep.
So this is not.
And if they are in free agency, you're paying a premium.
Right.
Yeah.
And sure, could some of these signings that we're talking about be re-signed by their teams before free agency even begins? Absolutely.
Dude, it's February 16th.
Yeah.
Right?
But this exercise is being done in February, so give us a break.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go over what's happened so far. I've traded away Chop. I've traded for Riley Moss, the corner from Denver. I've signed edge rusher Odafe Owe. I've signed off-ball linebacker Devin Bush. And I've signed safety Cameron Curl. You have traded away Devon Achane. You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You've traded
everyone just stopped listening.
Everybody left. Yeah, they stopped listening. You traded for Lucas Van Ness, and then you signed cornerback Cordell Flott, edge rusher Aziz Ojulari, and quarterback Malik Willis. Now, we have different names. We have a very similar approach so far, and that's been defense, defense, defense. Can you tell what the bad unit was on our team last year?
Everything.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. What do you say we get into the draft now?
Let's do it.
Now, really, what we meant for this to be was to be a priority for the draft. So we are going to throw out names, but the names are just guesses as to who could be available at that pick. The position is really the most important part. So when I say Josh, you're like, who's your priority at number 11? He's going to say a position and then a bunch of names associated with it. But those names are going to change because we haven't even hit the combine yet, right? Yeah. So over the next, I don't know how much time do we have to the draft? 66 days, actually. 66 days until the draft. These names are going to shift and shuffle and rotate around, all with the exception of the first overall pick, essentially. So keep that in mind as we get started on this
and
draft
also,
priority.
The players that I am mentioning are part of the larger picture. So take into account the players that we signed and the players that I traded for and the player and so on and so forth. So it all goes together.
Right. So take into account that you've traded away a running back, you've traded for an edge rusher, you've signed a cornerback, you've signed an edge rusher, and you've signed a quarterback. So now you're building on top of that. Who is your first round pick at 11th overall?
So my first round pick is obviously a position of that we were all very frustrated with last year. My number one priority in the draft is getting a starting cornerback. That is the top priority. It was the top priority going into last year. I was the only one out of us that was banging the table for 3 specific players, two of which were a cornerback, one of which was a safety. All 3 are stars. The name that I am writing on the tag that I'm handing to the commissioner is Mansour Delane, the LSU safety, at 11. He reminds me of a combination of Devon Witherspoon and Quinyon Mitchell. And I think pairing him as our number 1 cornerback with Cordell Flott as our number 2 cornerback, and having Storm Duck and Juju Brents and Jason Marshall be our starting slot wide receiver. I think it gives you such a well-rounded, versatile, young core at the cornerback position to build on. And it's a position that I will also touch on later in the draft, not in this exercise because we're only going up to the first pick in the 3rd round, but I would also be adding players later at that position as well.
Yeah, my priority, given the moves that I've already made, so for 11th pick in the NFL draft, my priority is also cornerback position, and I have also gone with Mansour Delane as the pick here at number 11.
Look at us. Again, folks, we don't know what each other picking, so this is all brand new information for us.
But let me just, I don't know a lot about these guys yet. I'm looking it up as we do these shows. So when I look it up and I see 11 passes defensed, allowed just 13 catches for 147 yards on 358 snaps, did not allow a single touchdown, and opponents completed just 37% of their passes on him in 2025. That's insane.
In the SEC. Yeah.
In the SEC, that's insane.
Yep.
This man is insane. This is the type of corner that you take at 11 overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't think twice about it. And if
No.
he's there at 11, you don't answer the phone.
I mean, the upside is here that there's like two of these guys too. So if Delane's not there, I think Jermod McCoy in Tennessee is another option.
Yeah, the only problem with him, he's coming off a full year of injury. He didn't play last year, So if Greer was here, he'd be the pick at 11.
I mean, from what I've read, he was extremely dominant in 2024.
Oh, dude, he's a monster. The only problem is you don't know how he's coming back. I think it's an ACL.
Don't.
So you don't
I do think there's a good chance that Delane falls to us at 11, though.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
All right, who are you taking? So our second round pick is number 43 overall. Remember, we have 4 or 5 picks in the top 100. We're picking 3 of them here today. This is where the names start to get a little fuzzy because we have no idea who's going to be there at 43. And we could guess, but it's going to be a ballpark at best. Whereas 11, we have a little better idea of who will be there. So what position are you targeting at number 43 in the draft?
I'm actually targeting safety.
Safety.
And again, for this exercise, we said to each other, the player that you want is going to be there.
Exactly.
Within reason. Like, obviously, I'm not going to say, well, Fernando Mendoza is going to be there in the 7th round, guys. So, no, but safety is really, there's a theme here. We need to fix the defense. And so I took Mansour Delane at 11. I'm hitting the safety position at 43 with Emmanuel McNeil Warren, who is a cross, in my opinion, on my top 150 board that I'm building out. I have his player comp as Josh Proctor / Jaden Hicks. And I just think he is an all-around type. He is the Nick Imanwari light, the player that I was drooling over coming into the draft last year. And I think he is the type of player that this defense needs. If you guys go back and look at a Hafley run defense, they had who at the safety position? Xavier McKinney.
Yeah, they made that big splash signing.
That is the type of player. I'm not comparing these two players, but that is the type of impact that Emmanuel can do. Emmanuel McNeil Warren can really make and can be the jack of all trades, the final line of defense to our defense under Hafley. So he is my pick at number 43, safety.
I can tell you because I just listened to this episode today, the Todd McShay show. Of course, I'm going to reference because I always do. But I'm going to tell you that they absolutely love this guy.
He's amazing. I just finished watching the film on him a couple of days ago, and it's bananas.
If he's there at 43, that would be a freaking steal. Because they're expecting he'll probably leak into the first round.
He could,
but you just never know.
Yeah,
you just never know. And you never know who I'm going to take at 43.
But you're going to tell us now, brother?
Yeah, I got to take an edge rusher because remember I traded away Chop Robinson.
Oh shit!
So far the only edge rusher I have on the team is Odafe Owe. So at 43, I'm looking at an edge rusher. The edge rushers around 43 are very kind of spread out all over the place. Some names that are popular and rising up draft boards right now, mainly due to the Senior Bowl. One name in particular due to the Senior Bowl is Zion Young. Zion Young has incredible talent. He is a little raw. The comps I've seen for him are Calais Campbell. He's a big dude. He has size. He has length. He has production, but he also has off the field issues, and that's where the knock on him comes. That's why a guy like him is not in the top 15 for consideration. Let's say, but he went to the Senior Bowl. He showed out against top tier talent. The Senior Bowl has become a who's who of college athletes lately. Great job by the Senior Bowl team for building that up because that game was a joke just less than a decade ago.
Hard to watch.
But fantastic now. And listen, he has solid size. He's a reliable tackler. He's got a great win rate, right? So last year, where's the stats? I lost him for a second. I don't know how to use a mouse. 16.5 tackles lost and 6.5 sacks last year on 48 pressures. That's impressive. Other names that I'm looking at in this range, Cassius Howell is another name to look at in that range. Let me see. Who else does Josh have on his big board here? Anthony Lucas is a potential option there as well. So just some names to look at, some names to watch as they start to rise up and down draft boards. We missed out on the first round of guys who went in the first round, so I'm looking at these guys who maybe slipped to come to us at 43.
Yeah.
Who is your last pick in your fantasy fixing the Dolphins in one offseason?
Yes. So again, keep in mind, I have already signed 2 edges. So I am not going to attack the edge position here in the third round because in my made up scenario here, we have Ojulari and we have Lucas Van Ness along with Chop Robinson. Right. So those are our 3. So I am going back to the cornerback room and taking a player that is one of my man crushes in this whole draft so far. And that is a player out of Indiana called D'Angelo Pons. He reminds me a lot of my player comps on my board for him are Kenny Moore II and Dante Jackson. He's a smaller cornerback. I think he's 5'10", something like that. In that range. I don't have it open in front of me, but he is a dog. When you talk dog mentality, go watch the national championship if you didn't. He shut down Miami's wide receivers. He was all over the place, and he has amazing football IQ and athletic traits. And because he's on the smaller side, he can stay in pocket with the receiver all the way through the route, which is huge. So he is somebody that I really am banging the table for Miami to take. I'm a huge fan of D'Angelo Pons. He probably is not going to be there realistically at 75. But if he is, that is the player I would go for. It was a toss-up, and I'll be completely honest with the viewers. It was a toss-up between another cornerback in D'Angelo Pons or a wide receiver. And one of my other man crushes was available in this scenario, and that is Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame. So I went to a position that is harder to fill and needs more work as a Miami Dolphin. So I have Mansour Delane at 11. I have Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety, at 43. And then I took D'Angelo Pons, circled back to cornerback position, and took him at 75.
That'd be really crazy if he falls to the third round. I thought, that championship game, he was nuts. I mean, there's Pons all over the place. I was like, I don't even know any of these players, but I keep seeing this guy Pons just doing everything. Remind me of Nick Emenwari in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know? I am going to the offensive line with pick 75. I have not yet picked up an offensive lineman. And I think that we need some help there. I was looking at tackles. I didn't really see any that tickled my fancy. And then I was looking over at the guard position. I saw a guy that played center in college that I think, many think, at least of the ones I've read, the analysis that I've read, that he could slide over to guard just fine and he would be great at it. I am going with Connor Lew. I think that's how you say his name. Out of Auburn. I think he's good. Yeah. So what I really wanted to focus on here is that I need help on the offensive line, right? I mean, I've been focused on defense for actually now that I look at it, every single move that I've made so far has been a defensive move. The offense needs some love too. We need offensive linemen. We need wide receivers. We need a quarterback. Here's the thing. I don't think there's a quarterback worth signing in free agency. I don't think there's a quarterback worth drafting where we are. So I punted on quarterback, and I know we'll take one later in this draft, but we're only doing the first 3 picks. I know maybe we'll take a Nussmeier or something like that later on in the draft. That's fine. I think that's the right move. I punted wide receiver for the same reason that Josh punted wide receiver. I think wide receiver position is an easier position to fill. I think there's a lot of guys you could trade for mad cheap. I think that position is easier to fill. I think running back is locked down. I did not trade away Achane, so my running back position is just fine. I think at tight end, we have, Dulcich, and I think Waller might return.
Well, we don't have Dulcich. Hopefully we resign Dulcich.
Dulcich. Yeah. I think the tight end position in free agency, we only were allowed 3, but the tight end free agency position is stacked this year. So I would look to free agency for a tight end. So I went to interior offensive line, Connor Lew is a name. Emmanuel Bregnan is a name as well to look at here.
That's who I liked with the second, third round pick. We didn't get that far.
We didn't get that
That's
far
who
yet.
I was going to pick. Yeah.
But I think that it's important to target the interior offensive line in the
Mhm.
third round, no matter which pick it is in the third round. I do think we need a lot of help there. And, if Lew is as good shifting the guard as he was as a center in college, I think that would be a really solid signing.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, let's break down what we did before we kind of get out of here, Josh. So we'll start with Josh. Josh traded away Devon Achane, so he's banking on Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright to carry the backfield. He did not sign any of the running backs in this scenario. He did trade for Lucas Van Ness, though, as an edge rusher to pair with Chop Robinson. That's very good. He also signed 3 cornerbacks, locking down the position. Can you tell where the point of frustration was for Josh last year? Cornerback Cordell Flott is a free agent from the Giants. He signed Mansour Delane, the cornerback, as first round of our draft. And then D'Angelo Pons, another cornerback, in the third round of the draft. You took care of the edge position by adding depth with Azeez Ojulari. So now you have a rotation of Chop Robinson, Lucas Van Ness, and Azeez Ojulari. I like that a lot. You took quarterback Malik Willis in free agency to kind of give competition to Quinn Ewers and see what happens there. $11 million a year, solid contract. And then last but not least, you took what I think could be the biggest pick of this exercise, safety Emmanuel McNeil Warren, to lock down the backfield on the defense. Josh, after doing this exercise and looking at every move you made, how do you feel about your Dolphins' chances in 2026?
I mean, I feel the same way, if I'm being honest, as I did a couple weeks ago when we talked about it early off season. This is going to be a rough year. I think more so than fixing positions, we need to just simply add talent to this team. We are a talent deficient team, and so yes, you didn't hear any kind of offensive line talk. Well, that can be, with our second or third round pick that we have. Maybe it's another free agent that we signed. That's more of a day 2, a tier 2 type free agents to get us in there. Let me ask you
a question. Do you feel like you did enough? You were only given 9 moves. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Yeah, 8 moves to improve an entire team. Do you feel like you did enough to improve the team and increase their win total in the next
season? I do. Yeah, I do. I really do. I think, I had us at for an average of, I thought we would probably be in the 3 to 4 win range next year. Yeah. With these moves, I think we get into the 5 to 6 range. So that is a significant jump up.
Okay. I traded away Chop Robinson. Not a great start for me. But then I did trade for cornerback Riley Moss from Denver. I continued to lock down the cornerback position in the first round of the draft, where I took Mansour Delaney. So then my 2 starting corners are now Riley Moss and Mansour Delaney.
Can you imagine?
That would be great.
I would love that.
But I needed edge rushers as well. So my starting edge rushers are Odafe Owe and Zion Young. I don't feel as good about that as I do about the cornerback position. But I did lock down Devin Bush to play linebacker for us. I locked down Cameron Curl to play safety for us, alongside currently Minkah Fitzpatrick, who we don't know. He's under contract. We don't know what that situation is going to be. And then on the offensive line, I took a guard, Connor Lew, in the 3rd round. I do personally feel like these moves would improve the team a lot. I still would be very worried about edge rusher, although I think that Sully and team will do a better job of picking a top tier edge rusher at 43 than I did. So, names aside, I think that if we went corner, edge, offensive line with our first 3 picks, I'd be pretty pumped.
Yeah. I think any combination of moves where we are adding young talent to a team that is in rebuilding makes us better. And I don't think I would be ecstatic with either one of these scenarios, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Again, for those of you that are kind of half listening, the reason I traded HN is because I don't think we're in a position to give him a $20 million plus a year contract. And that was the only reason why he was on my trade list, because we can get assets for him, assets that we need. Do I want him gone? Absolutely not. I'm only harping on this because I know I'm going to get destroyed in the chat.
It's okay. So I want the chat to join in too. You get 8 moves. You can trade away 1 player. You could trade for 1 player. You can pick up 3 signings, and you make your first 3 picks in the draft. And that is what you have to look at to turn the team around. I think historically, this is what does turn teams around. Hitting on a mix of trades, free agency, and the draft, specifically the top tier of the draft, is what historically has turned teams around quickly. So that's why we do this exercise this way. So give me your 8 moves in the comments below. You don't have to worry about draft, trade compensation or what the cost is of the free agents. None of that.
Mhm.
That's not your problem. You're just picking the players.
And you can't trade up or trade down in the draft either.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to pick at 11, 43, and 75.
Yep.
So let us know what you decide to do in the comments below.
And also, I would like to know, are you Team Anthony's approach for these 8, 9 choices? Or are you Team Josh?
Yeah. Let us know.
Yeah.
All right. Before we sign off, I would like to thank you all once again for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. And subscribe. It's free. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. That'll do it for today's show, fixing the Dolphins in one offseason. It wasn't easy, but I think we accomplished it, Josh.
I do too. I agree. Yeah. Let me ask you a question before we log off. What side, now that you have both, would you be more excited about? Because I think there's excitement across the board.
Yeah, I think you did a better job of balance than I did, if I'm being honest. I'm disappointed. Like your edge rusher situation specifically, I think is better than what I put together.
Yeah,
and that's where kind of my mind goes all the time now.
Yeah, I hate to do this, but I actually like my plan as well a little bit better.
It's not that I don't like my plan. I just think there's some moves that you made that I wish I had made now.
Yeah, and I am slowly taking a half step back on Malik Willis, but I'm a Malik Willis glazer for a 2-year short-term contract, so I'm sticking with it.
All right, guys, that'll do it for today's show. On the next episode, we are playing Keep, Trade, Cut. It's a similar exercise, but with way more fun. More fun, but way more, I don't even know, surprise. Neither of us knows who the players are that we're going to throw at each other. So it's just going to be absolutely chaotic. So join us on Thursday for that. We're going to play Keep, Trade, Cut with the Miami Dolphins. But for today, that'll do it for the 305 Gridiron. For Josh, a.k.a. Aqua Ace, I'm Anthony Pinzone. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Fins up, baby.